Greetings from the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce. My name is Jennifer Harmoning, the president of the Burnsville Chamber. Thank you for joining us for our Meet the Candidate forum today. And I will introduce our moderator, Brady Folkstead of Lakeview Bank, our Public Policy Committee Chair, who will be moderating our forum today. Thanks, Brady.
Thanks, Jennifer. Hi, I'm Brady Folkstead, Lakeview Bank, and the chair of the Public Policy Committee for the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce. Joining us today, we have our House District 55B candidates from our two major parties. We have the endorsed candidate from the DFL side, Kaela Berg, as well as the endorsed candidate from the GOP side, Mr. Van Holston. So thank you both for being here with us today. Quick ground rules for those watching online right now. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, and then the Public Policy Committee has come up with 5 questions. They'll rotate back and forth, and they'll have a minute each to answer those questions, and then we will have our closing remarks. Also, if you're watching and you're not quite sure what district you're in and who you're going to be voting for, so if I have this right, and I'm sure the candidates will correct me if I'm wrong, essentially, House District 55B is the entire southern half of Burnsville. And as we look north of County Road 42, it follows Burnsville Parkway and then 136th Street across, goes up 35W, and is the western portion of, or eastern portion of Burnsville over to County Road 11. So that's where these candidates are, and that's, if you live in that area, that's who will be appearing on your ballot. With that, we'll get things started. We had a coin flip before we opened this afternoon, and Van Holston won the coin flip. He'll be going first. Van, we've got 2 minutes. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to run for office.
Sure. My name is Van Holston. I am a retired attorney. I've been retired for some time, although I do occasional special projects. And I could, as a retired person, just kick back and do nothing. I don't need this job. But I got involved and I got interested because I have children and grandchildren. I'm concerned about the direction of our country and the direction of our state. I think in many ways we're going in the wrong direction. And I grew up in Minnesota, graduated from Robbinsdale High School too many years ago, and lived all my life in Minnesota. Minnesota has always been a good place to live, a good place to raise families, healthy business climate, good schools, safe streets. And I think we're beginning to lose that. And I'm running because I want to be part of doing something different and correcting some of direction I think we're in. I really running on a lot of different issues, but primarily speak today about the business climate and crime in our schools. As far as the business climate is concerned, Minnesota's always been kind of a state that incubates businesses, and a lot of them are successful growing up here. 3M, General Mills, Control Data, Honeywell, and but they don't expand in here anymore, and businesses are not starting here and they're not growing here like they used to. Some commentators have said Minnesota is one of the worst states in which to start a business. So I think we need to change that, and you do that by, in my opinion, by reducing taxes and reducing regulation. Minnesota budget has grown practically doubled in the last 15 years, and we currently have a substantial budget surplus. And I think what we should do is have across the board income, personal taxes and business taxes, and eliminate the tax on Social Security benefits to stimulate the economy and get money back in people's pockets. Second issue is crime. It is, if I ran out of time, okay.
Out of time. Sorry about that.
Okay.
But we'll try to do our best to stick with the time, as we want to keep things moving and keep us focused on task. Thank you for your introduction. Kaela, over to you. If you could introduce yourself a little bit to us and let us know what motivated you to run for office.
Absolutely. My name is Kaela Berg. I currently represent you all in what was 56B, soon to be 55B, and it's my absolute honor to be your representative. Thank you, Jennifer and Brady, for having me. I'm a 19-year flight attendant and mother to two exceptional young men. And I come from a very fierce labor background. I love representing this community because it is full of working families like me. And I think that there are many things we can do to help our working families have economic opportunity and succeed and build a life that they dream of and that they're proud of. Another reason that I ran was because my youngest son struggled for his education, and I recognize that we have some issues that we need to address in our public schools, and we can do so by fully funding our public schools and changing the way that we look at education so we can reach the most kids that we can. And so really, I think any given person runs for office for two reasons: because they've had personal experiences where they feel that they can make some positive change for other families going through the same thing, as well as a deep desire to represent their communities and to amplify the voices of community members at the Capitol. So thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Brady's mute.
Thank you again. Sorry about that. I had a couple of different things going here on the screen. Thank you, Kaela, and thank you, Van, again, both for joining us. With that, we'll kick off the questions. Now, these questions were arrived at from the Burnsville Public Policy Committee. The first one here, which the candidates have received in advance, is as follows. There's a current shortage of workers in all sectors of the economy. What can be done at the state level to aid in the development of workers for our economy, as well as immigrants have historically been relied upon to fill in and provide additions to the workforce? How can we better integrate those folks into the community? And Kaela, you'll be answering this question first.
Thank you. Great question. First of all, until the unemployment rate reaches 0%, we don't have a shortage of workers in this state. Some of the things we can do at the state capitol, for example, I authored a bill called Building Strong Communities, which would create a pathway to careers in the trades with family sustaining wages, healthcare, and an opportunity for a pension. For folks that are traditionally left out, women, people of color, and our veterans, that did not pass the Republican-held Senate. So we weren't able to help our Minnesotans really have some opportunity there separately. Better integrating immigrant communities into our state. First of all, we need to stop the vilification of immigrants for political gains, stop grandstanding with nativist populism. And really the way the question was worded was a little problematic, because we need to stop addressing immigrants as them because they are us.
Thank you. And Van, over to you. Same question. There's currently a shortage of workers in our economy. What can be done at the state level to assist in the development of workers for our economy? And as immigrants have historically been relied upon for additions to the workforce, how can we better integrate them into our communities? Van, you have yours on mute now.
Okay. Yeah, the immigration issue is primarily something the federal government needs to do and solve. I think immigration should be, we should make it legal immigration easy and illegal immigration hard. And we need to welcome immigrants. We actually have an economy that needs more people and more immigrants and more skilled people to do jobs. I don't agree that we don't have a labor shortage in the state of Minnesota. There are ads and help wanted ads everywhere you go. I've never seen so many help wanted ads. So we do need to get people to come to Minnesota and join our economy. And that's a lot harder when we're a high tax state, to get people to come here and get businesses up and growing. And we need to provide services to them, citizenship classes and English classes and job training. And those are the kinds of things that we should do to move it forward.
Thank you, Van. Thank you both for your answers to that question. The next one is perennial topic here. School funding. Each time we do this, every legislative session, this one comes up. Does the funding formula for schools need to change? If so, what are your thoughts on the change or the increasing effectiveness of the deployment of our school funding dollars? And this one is going to be coming to you first, Van. And so if you could let us know what your thoughts are on the school funding formula.
Yes, I don't think we can necessarily change the basic formula. It's a per student formula, and there are other changes and modifications in the formula. There's a help for smaller school districts and that type of thing. And so I don't think we changed the formula. I do think it's important that we return to basics in education and focus on reading and math. It is unfortunate that the math scores and reading scores in Minnesota are not where they should be. It's estimated that 45% of the kids cannot read at their grade level, and we need to do something about that. And I would like to be part of that if I'm elected.
Thank you. And Kaela, this was the same question to you. School funding has been a topic for many years. Does the funding formula for schools need to change? If so, what are your thoughts on changing it? And what are your thoughts as well as increasing the effectiveness of the deployment of public dollars into our school systems?
Sure. So this ties back to question number one, and the fact that a better educated, better trained workforce fosters greater innovation, higher wages, and stands for the exceptionalism that Minnesota has been known for generations. But also our teachers need more resources, our schools better facilities, our students more opportunities in STEM and tech literacy to prepare for the jobs of this new and evolving economy. And the opportunities need to be distributed more evenly throughout our communities, rural and urban alike. And we need to stop funding our schools based on standardized testing. We need smaller class sizes. We've heard that door to door from our teachers. We need to support our teachers and give them the tools that they need in the classroom to provide a world-class education for our kids.
Thank you. Next, this was a topic that has been a topic with the state chamber as well as locally here in Burnsville. It was widely publicized that the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency transitioned to the state of California emission standards. California has recently banned the sale of fossil fuel powered vehicles beginning in 2035. Question here is how does this affect Minnesota, and is this something you support moving forward with? With that, Kaela, this is going to be to you first.
Sure. Okay. So the California rule is not a law, and it was passed by the California Air Resources Board, and it bans the sale of new gasoline-powered automobiles in 2035. After 2035, we can keep selling new hybrid vehicles and used gasoline-powered vehicles. And we stand to positively gain from following their lead. Car makers design vehicles for the California market. It's huge, and they have their own environmental rules, and then they sell them every place else. So this change will be happening market-wide regardless. Minnesota operates on an advanced, reliable electric grid that continues to scale up clean energy production, creating more jobs, and that'll be unaffected by this switch. And let's just note that farm machinery, heavy machinery are not affected by this rules change.
Okay, thank you. And Van, same to you. It was publicized that state of Minnesota's pollution control agency transitioned to the state of California emission standards. California has now adopted a ban on the sale of fossil fuel powered vehicles. new fossil fuel powered vehicles beginning in 2035. How does this affect Minnesota, and is this something you support moving forward?
I do not support it. I don't see any purpose in Minnesota allowing an administrative organization in California to set standards for Minnesota. The emission, it also talks about emission standards for vehicles, and I think what they're missing here is there's been a substantial improvement in the efficiency of vehicles, and the new emission standards that they're talking about would not significantly reduce emissions at all. As far as requiring the no more fossil fuel driven vehicles after 2035, there's no plan to get there. It is not, just shutting down the fossil industry like we're trying to do without a replacement is not an answer. The operative word is transition. We need to transition over time and not try to do it abruptly.
Thank you, Van. This next question does relate to the question number 3. Van, it'll be coming to you first. More than anything, I think the business community desires consistency in laws and regulation. How do we prevent mass changes in laws and regulation every time a new governor is elected? And Van, that is to you.
I don't think it's correct to say that there has been mass changes every time there's a new governor. There are changes. I think that the business community and many manufacturers and other people have a legitimate case to be made with regard to heavy-handed regulation. We need to regulate to protect the society. We need to regulate to protect our environment. We need to regulate to protect people. But a lot of business interference in the marketplace is not helpful at all or counterproductive. So we need to be careful about regulation. And as I said earlier, we need to get out of being a high tax state and lower our taxes so that the businesses are free to innovate and grow and expand their businesses.
Thank you. And Kaela, over to you. Business community likes consistency to be able to plan with laws and regulation. How do we prevent mass regulation change every time a new governor is elected?
Oops, sorry, I was muted. I think the answer is you don't. When regulatory authority rests with the governor's office and the occupant changes, especially by party affiliation, that's democracy. The business community is a very large group with very different needs. Mom and pop's needs they don't share the regulatory concerns of big business or Fortune 500 companies. And often the needs of different actors are in conflict. So to speak of the business community as one entity misses sort of the important nuances. As an aside, if any sector of our society should be accepting of the inevitability of dynamic change, that would be the business community.
Thank you. Next question. It's well known that local businesses fare far better during periods of lower crime. Currently, the state of Minnesota and the nation have been experiencing an increase in criminal activity. What can be done at the state level to assist communities like Burnsville to lower crime and general criminal activity?
Is that to me? I'm sorry.
That's to you. Yep.
Okay. So I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yep.
Which
no problem. You'll be coming up first here. Local businesses fare far better during periods of lower crime. Currently, the state of Minnesota and the nation are experiencing an uptick in criminal activity. What can we do at the state level to assist in lowering crime in our communities such as Burnsville?
Right. So in the last question, we were talking about businesses that were struggling for employees and troubled by a vastly changing regulatory market. And now we're talking about them struggling because of crime. As I'm not sure which businesses or what crime. I would welcome seeing the metrics on these claims. But I will point out in our earlier questions that higher education equates to lower criminality. Time and time again, we see this. Oftentimes crime is a side effect of opportunity. So if we provide more economic opportunities, access to affordable and quality healthcare, invest in our public schools, and have a police force that lives in the community and that builds those relationships in the community and public input as to what feels like a safe community to them. It's basically that easy. And in Burnsville, our police force and our fire department are excellent, really exemplary.
Thank you. And Van, same question to you. Local businesses fare far better during periods of low crime. Currently, the state of Minnesota and the nation have been experiencing an increase in criminal activity. What can be done at the state level to assist communities to lower criminal activity?
Well, the first thing that public officials everywhere ought to stop demonizing the police force. Certainly after the riots, or during, not long after the riots, a member of the political community in Minnesota said that Minneapolis Police Department is rotten from top to bottom. And that is very, very unhelpful for policing in Minnesota. It affects their morale and affects their ability to do the job. So, and crime is out of control in Minnesota in many areas, and businesses have announced, it's been in the news, that they're leaving inner city Minneapolis because of the crime. So we do need to do something about that, and we need to strengthen the laws in Minnesota so that people experience consequences of their behavior.
Thank you, Van. And thank you to both of you. Now we're going to move on to kind of our closing statements here. Van, you will be kicking those off. And so if you have a minute, tell us why you would be best to represent our area in Burnsville.
Well, I keep telling people that I have life experiences. I've got gray hair. I was attorney for 36 years, operated in the legal system. Early in my career, I was on the staff of the Minnesota House of Representatives. So I know how the system works. But most of all, I think I have the wisdom and experience to bring something to the table to solve some of the problems we have, to do something about the business climate, and to do something about our schools, and to do something about crime that is productive and gets the job done, and not silly answers like violence, civilian violence interrupters to handle policing. We need real answers coming from mature people.
Thank you, Van. And Kaela, as well, thank you again to you. Now you have a minute. Let us know why you would be best to represent our area in 55B.
Sure, thank you. I think representation matters, and I am a working mom, just like most members of our community, doing the best we can to get by. And I absolutely think that life experience is important. And trust me, I have gray hairs too. I do have that life experience that reflects our community members. And I also have the experience of being at the legislature and being the representative for this amazing, vibrant community. And it continues to be my honor to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you again, both those joining us. We had joining us for the 55B forum. We had Van Holston, the Minnesota GOP endorsed candidate, as well as Kaela Berg, the Minnesota DFL endorsed candidate for 55B. Thank you both. And we look forward to getting to know you both more in the voting season. With that,
Thank you.
I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brady, for moderating our interviews today, and thank you to our candidates who took the time to participate. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your stepping up to run for office, and we look forward to working with you in the future. We will have all these recordings posted on our YouTube page for everyone to view, and please vote on November 8th. Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Brady. Nice to see you.